Welcome, Mama June. Howdy.
Hey, y'all. Glad to be here tonight. Listen, do any of y'all remember an antique thing that we had sitting out in our yards called a burning barrel? Well, for anybody that's under 30 years old, I need to explain a little bit to you about it because this is what people used to use before you had companies like CWI and them great old big trash containers that you see around everywhere. It was a pretty simple process, actually. Your husband would drag home this great big barrel and he'd throw it out of the back of the truck and he'd go in the garage and he'd come out and go to whacking on the thing with the business end of a pickaxe till he got about 12 holes in it. Then he'd set it as far back as he thought was safe in your yard. And that's where you took all of your disposables, all of your papers and your tin cans, and it worked real good for about 6 weeks, but then the trash kind of stacked up in the thing, and so it was time to regroup and haul that off and get you another one. So this story I'm telling you tonight is a true story because all the stories about my life are true, and it's about a burning barrel, a quick trip to the laundromat, and non-compliance with a do not burn order. It happened in August one year. It was a real hot August. And I had a pretty light day that day, so I thought, well, I'm going to get some things done. So I went through the house, and I picked up a bunch of rugs. You know, them kind that you don't want to put in your washer because you don't want to tear it up. So you drag them over to the laundromat, put it in one of them great big washers over there. So I had about 4 of them, and so me and the dog jumped in the van. We get over there, and right as I was putting them into the biggest machine in the place, I noticed on one of these rugs there was a string coming off of it. It was kind of raveling loose there, and I thought to myself, I said, now when you get home to hang that thing across the clothesline, you need to get the scissors and cut that off because you might trip on it, and it's going to come apart, making a big mess. So loaded that thing up, and the cycle on that machine lasts about 30 minutes, and I only live a little less than a mile from the laundromat, so I thought, well, you need to go on home and get a few other things done because I had a bag of trash that needed to be burnt that was sitting there by the back door. So I drive on home, walk around the backyard, pick that bag of trash up, and look at that burning barrel out there. It's almost full, but I'm thinking to myself, well, you got one more good burn in you. And being the responsible person that I was, I grabbed my broom and I got the box of matches and I took out that trash to that barrel and I stuffed it up there, about half of it, and struck that match and lit that thing on fire. And in no time at all, it was the most beautiful blaze you ever seen. And I'm standing there just admiring my work, being proud, holding my firefighting broom in my right hand while my little dog was standing down here watching. Things were going perfect. And then the phone rang. So I thought, well, I can just run and grab that phone because back in the day, another thing some of you young people don't know about, the phones hung on the wall. On the wall. It hung right there on the wall between the door and the cabinet and had one of these long, squiggly cords on the thing. I mean, you could stretch that thing out, walk right out on the back porch and sit down there and talk all you wanted to. And I thought, that's all right. That's exactly what I'll do. I'll just sit right here, me and my little dog Red, and we'll watch that fire, make sure it don't get out. So just about the time we get comfortable on that back porch step, a little piece of that fire dropped off that top of that barrel onto the ground, and it was catching up, so I hung the phone up right quick, and me and Red started toward that barrel with our firefighting broom. We get about 20 feet from that barrel, and all of a sudden I hear something, it went kind of like, whoa. I looked down, and that little bitty piece of fire wasn't no little bitty piece of fire no more. It was a pretty good-sized fire, and it was headed right to my back door. So I started stomping, and I started whacking with my broom. I was doing a pretty good job, too, and I'm telling you what, I believe if the wind hadn't have kicked up, I'd have had that thing put plumb out. But another couple of them, And I didn't just have fire in my backyard. I had fire going toward the woods, and I had fire going toward my mama's house, and I had fire, the worst fire of all, going toward them 2 LP gas tanks that sat between them. I looked at that little dog Red, and he looked back at me, and about that next whoom, we knew we was in big trouble, and we needed some help. So I run around to the front door of my mama's house, and I opened it up, and I said, Mama, call 911. I have done set the field on fire out here. So I head back with what's left of my broom, and let me tell you, after you've been fighting as hard I've been fighting with it, there ain't much there except the pole. But I'm doing all I can do out there, and I look up, and here comes my 80-year-old mama around the side of the house with a brand new broom in her hand. I look her straight in the eye, and I said, Mama, if you ain't going to use that thing to fly to the fire department, you better hand it to me and go back in the house and dial 911. So she tossed me that broom, and I got back to work, praying the whole time, oh, Lord, just let them get here before it reaches them LP tanks. Well, in a few minutes, I heard that beloved sound, that sound of them sirens. Oh, man, it sounded good. I thought, praise God, I am saved now. And I waited, and they didn't come. So I walked between the houses, and they'd done run right past my driveway, and they'd gone down to the next one and come up in a subdivision over there and was hung up and couldn't get turned around. I started praying harder then. I thought, Lord, send me a bigger broom, because this one just ain't going to work. I was down to the nub of that thing, let me tell you. And that little red cocker spaniel of mine, he wasn't red no more. He was as black as that soot we was stomping around in. But praise God, here they come. The little truck come first, the one with the little hose on him. And he starts along the wood line. He's squirting around there. And then this big truck, I mean that big truck, pulls right up in the middle of my yard. Guys jump out, and I'm heading toward them to tell them thanks for getting there so quick. But I got a little FYI for y'all. Don't ever approach a fire truck when they're unrolling that big hose. You don't want to be anywhere close to the end of that thing when they get ready to turn that water on, because it's going to knock you down. And it ain't just going to knock you down. It's going to knock you down, roll you over, and shoot you and your little dog all the way to the woods. And that's exactly what it did. Well, I'm out there somewhere along the wood line rolling around in the mud and the blood and the soot while the fire department's putting this fire out, which they did. Everything turned out great. By the time I got up, crawled back up to where the whole thing started, they was done going down the driveway. I looked at my little dog Red, and I said, well, you know, before we get cleaned up, we best go over and get them rugs. So we get in that van, we head out, pull up in the parking lot over there, and there's something wrong, because it's got to be at least 150 degrees that day, and the doors is all open. And all them workers in there are standing around these big mops and these big squeegee things. And from where I parked when I pulled up, I could see that big machine on the end of that road that I'd put them 4 rugs in. And the door of that thing is open. And them rugs is hanging half in and half out. So I deep inside myself and got my last bit of courage, and I got out of that van. I had soot hanging in my hair and water dripping off of the end of my ears. But I walked right into that laundromat over to the corner of that machine, and I struggled and pulled out that big wobble rug. I turned around, and as I was walking to the door, part of it started unfurling, kind of like the inside of a little tennis ball, and I could just feel it, just pulling away. And I got closer to the door, and I give it one last heave, and I heaved that big ball of rug right on into my van. Couldn't shut the door, but most of the rug is in there, and we headed home, let me tell you. We got home right about the same time that my husband pulled up from work. He pulled his truck on back by the side of the house, and he got out, and I saw him look that way. And then I saw him look that way. And he could see all the black and the devastation and the puddles and the ruts. And then I saw him beam right in on that still smoldering burning barrel. He took one long breath, and he looked around at me and that little dog, and he said, I don't even want to know what's happened here today. But he did, and now all y'all do too. Appreciate your time.